Facebook Live. We're here with Mayor Cantrell and Laura Bryan, who is the director of the Mayor's Office of Transportation. My name is Eileen Carter, and I handle the social media for the City of New Orleans. And we have been listening to your feedback, and we knew transportation was a conversation that you've been wanting to have. And so Mayor Cantrell likes to meet you where you are, so we're here on Facebook Live. And so Mayor Cantrell, with the Office of Transportation, that's really a new concept. It hadn't been done before. Why have an Office of Transportation?
Well, first of all, it really is looking at best practices throughout other municipalities across the country. We know that there are multiple modes of transportation. There are issues of equity around it as well. And in the city of New Orleans, our people have been very vocal as it relates to the accessibility, the need for greater accessibility, and for moving our people to and from, not just to and from work, but also school. That's important in terms of we are a destination city, so the integrated system that we have with the streetcar, with visitors and residents alike. So you have all of them kind of using the systems, but you also have the bikes, we're all traffic, the pedestrian, and looking at it holistically and not just in a silo, looking at bikes, looking at, cars, we're doing the whole. And so I found that it was necessary in order to have that laser focus, create the Mayor's Office of Transportation, because again, we also understand the inequities that are in the city right now, the disparity gaps.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're focused on coordinating different efforts, right? Bringing in all the agencies and all the partners on different things that are happening in the city. In the past, a lot of different departments had focused on sort of specific things, and by having an office in the mayor's office, we can better coordinate those efforts and provide a better quality of work in the end. We believe a better foundation for the city's to all of the networks combined.
This is a big conversation. It is all over social media. Enforcement.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And so I want to kind of touch base on a couple different layers of enforcement, because of course we have the new bike lane laws where if the car is parked in it, their fines are increased. We have the party bus conversation, and of course we have the speeding cameras, right. The school zone. Let me be specific. The right. School zone cameras, because a lot of those other cameras have come down. So let's ease into it and hit the bike parking tickets. I know that there's going to be an increase soon, and you've been letting the public know.
Right. Well, as I look at enforcement, it will not be just on one area of enforcement. We have great needs in our city. I have said to my staff and even publicly that 2019 has to be the year of enforcement to improve our daily quality of life. Now, the issues of transportation, that's just one component of enforcement. You have many others, whether it's on the housing piece, just so many different levels, compliance, tires, residents, commercial establishments. So it's just enforcement, period. But as we tackle some of the areas like transportation, we're wanting to be consistent with enforcement across the board, not picking and choosing, not going just looking at cars parked in bike lanes, but also looking at even cyclists that are breaking the rules. Of course, vehicular traffic that's breaking the rules, speeding in school zones. I mean, all of it is together. Party buses and the like. But we can go down the list, because I know that residents are concerned, and sometimes there's even miscommunication or and we want to try to clear it up, and that's one of the reasons why these Facebook Lives allow us to do that. Absolutely. And also just engage, because we want to be better and we want to be held accountable too.
Absolutely. So the fine for parking in the bike lane was $40. It's about to go up to $300.
That's significant. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that was something that was done by the city council. The administration was not engaged in that process, the thinking about what the fines would be. I mean, any of that. So the law was passed, and as the administration, then the enforcement arm really falls into our lap to enforce the laws that govern this city. I understand that there was some recent talk about suggesting that the administration not move so quickly on the enforcement. I'm always big on in educating people on the front end prior to us moving out for enforcement, and I'm absolutely open to that as it relates to this law. But we're going to have to enforce the law that is on the books. So I would encourage people, one, to follow the law. Do not block a bike lane. That's essentially what it's about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so our next one we'd like to touch on is party buses. There is a little bit of confusion that the mayor wants to ban party buses.
No.
Do you want to ban party buses?
I do not want to ban party buses. Absolutely not. But what I do want is for party buses to be in compliance with the laws of the city of New Orleans. And more importantly, the compliance speaks to the insurance that protects the rider as well as the party bus owner. If these things are not in place, then it will cause problems for everyone, and including the city of New Orleans. It is my responsibility to bring things into compliance. And let me tell you, I am grateful that we haven't had mass casualties as it relates to some of the party buses that are on the street that are not in compliance. Mm-hmm. So whether it is the trucks, the pickup trucks with the trailers on the back, well, that's illegal. But it has a portalet, it has our people, and in some cases it has a bar. That's illegal. And if God forbid, but if the vehicle was to get into an accident, it could impact lives. And so why do we have to wait for that to occur before we therefore enforce the rules? And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to prevent these types of accidents from happening. And it reminds me of the duck boat scenario in another state. What was it, last year? And it killed a whole family. I don't want that to happen on the streets of New Orleans. So I feel I have a responsibility. And to, one, acknowledge that it's an issue. Two, push people to be compliant. And three, for these businesses to thrive and to render quality services to our residents and visitors alike.
So it's important you can check if the party buses are compliant by going online, and there's a link in Safety and Permits. There was a press release, I think, or a press statement that was sent out by the administration last week that identifies how to do that. So if anybody's interested, they should look to make sure that the bus that they're signing up for is compliant with the rules and regs.
Right, but we are not banning party buses, but we are requiring them to adhere to the laws. And then I also know, and this has been requested across the board from residents. So this isn't just coming from me, but it is coming, through me from listening to the people in our community who want better regulations and, compliance.
Yeah, we've heard both sides. I mean, clearly we've heard the side of the party bus owners, but for the months on social media, we've been hearing the other side of the music and just, different things. So bringing them in compliance will help everyone.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
And our last one on enforcement would be our school zone cameras.
Oh, yeah.
We know the speed limit is 20. I think some people are having, discussion on the margin of error, but school zones are 20.
Well, legally, the margin of error is right at that cap of 4 miles over.
Gotcha.
4 mph over. And so that is according to the city attorney and looking very heavily at the law and how we want to make sure that we are meeting, again, that threshold. And that threshold is that 4 mph over. I'm going to tell you, if I could reduce it to 20, I would. Because speeding in a school zone, are you kidding me? It's very dangerous. And this ties to my work in Safe Routes to Schools, the transportation working group. Laura was working on that while we were in the city council for District B. But this came to me after one of our 6-year-olds were killed going to the school bus.
Yep.
And so
On Paris Avenue?
On Paris Avenue. And that was real. A 6-year-old was killed and his sister was also injured. But I'm telling you, as a parent, you don't care if someone's going 1 mile over, 4 miles over, 8 miles over. They're over the speed limit in an area that is supposed to be protecting our children. And we have to care about that. And you can't pick and choose how you're for families. And I've been very consistent. You know, I didn't start the mayor's office of youth and families for nothing. Like, we haven't been focused on making our city better for our families just for no reason. But again, you can't pick and choose. You have to be consistent. And that's where I am on the school zones. And it is data driven as well. And I'm gonna tell you, as we did the research and having the studies come back, I had no idea that we were allowing 8 miles over the speed limit in a school zone. 8 miles over. That's significant in a school zone. But what we did, we reduced it to that threshold that we could legally for. So, okay, giving people another 4 miles where they can, not abide by the law. So this is very, very serious. And I just, I hate to have the pushback on it, but I've looked at it from the driver's perspective, but I'm also looking at it from a parent's perspective. And these are our children, and they deserve to be protected at every level, and I'm going to do that. I'm not just a mayor, I'm a mother too.
Absolutely.
And the work around school transportation has been ongoing for such a long period of time. I mean, it started on the council with the unfortunate death of that student, where the school transportation safety working group was created. Just recently, there was the update to the school bus regulations, so that school buses will have to come into compliance. The funding has funded a Safe Routes to School coordinator, which is so focused on making sure the traffic analysis around these schools and the pedestrian infrastructure is safe for children. So this goes much farther.
It does, and it goes right back to our work on the New Orleans City Council, because I started the transportation working group, and from that group, we applied for Safe Routes to School grants. We got $500,000 that then allowed the city to move forward with creating a Safe Routes to Schools office. We got then the Orleans Parish School Board to fund a director for Safe Routes to Schools in the health department. This was all before being mayor. But in addition to that, we also led the charge to have every school zone infrastructure in terms of the flashing lights fixed. I believe when we started taking this on, less than 50% of them were operable. Now we've increased it. We're like at 99%. So this is holistic. It wasn't off the fly. It wasn't, and absolutely is not a money grab. This is about our children. And if people slow down and go the speed limit, then guess what? It can't be a money grab. But the data showed us in our city that we have more people not abiding by the 20 miles per hour limit throughout the city of New Orleans, which makes it a behavioral problem that we have to rein in. That was the decision that I made, and I stand by it 100%. It matters. Our children matter.
Absolutely, our children matter.
They do, and we can't pick and choose when it comes to our children and families. And I'm gonna tell you, that Golo family, you best believe they're still grieving for the loss of Shad. It's a fact, But then this is also, in my opinion, as I've been thinking about this should also show, the Walls family, Miss Cherie's family, as well as David's family, that accident happened on Esplanade. But we will always be mindful of it, but also how we can build in safeguards and protection so it will not happen again. So as Shad died, he left us in 2014, but we're not forgetting. And even in 2019, that family will be able to point to us, and we should be able to show them that their son, their baby is not forgotten. And let me tell you, it's a school zone. Slow down. 20 miles per hour is the law. That did not change. We only brought that threshold, the ability for someone to violate the law, from 8 miles to 4. And I don't apologize for that.
That's
And
right.
I'm telling you,
Right,
even the speeding ticket is less than $300. which is being proposed for parking in a bike lane. And let me tell you, we have children that bike to school too. See, you know, when you get into this picking and choosing, it becomes a real problem. But I do not want it to become a problem for me as I'm responsible for enforcement. And that has to happen across the board.
Absolutely.
Cyclists, again,
Yeah.
will be ticketed. It's a fact.
Enforcement across the board on the roadway, whatever rules are on the road for every,
So all
Every
modes of
situation.
transportation, across the board enforcement, whether you're walking, riding, motorcycle, bike, bus, whatever you are, follow the rules of the road.
Right, and I'm not saying that I'm wanting the administration to be, you know, aggressive, overly aggressive. Just no. But when it's in our face, and we have to adhere and hold people accountable to the laws, then we're going to do that, because we have to shake this image of being the big easy where you can do whatever you want to in the city of New Orleans. And again, when you're picking and choosing, it only underscores that you can get away with pretty much whatever you want. I want our city to be family friendly for people who live here as well as those who visit. And when you come to New Orleans or you live in New Orleans, no, you just can't, you know, disrespect our city. Throw trash everywhere. Have, you know, the blighted property. Have slumlords. Disobey traffic law. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Well, this is a perfect segue into your transportation strategy. And I know that's something that the Office of Transportation will be putting out soon. Can you give us a little bit of information on what exactly is a transportation strategy? What's to come?
I'll kick that to
They'll
Laura.
kick that
She's
to
been
Laura.
working hard. We need
Right.
to be comprehensive. That's what the strategy.
so basically, the strategy is it highlights all the work that's already going on in the city, right? There's all these different transportation initiatives. They're cross-cutting. They're in different departments. They're in different external agencies. And the strategy identifies the work that the city's going to do to make sure we continue moving those things forward and to shed light onto those things. A lot of it is focused on safety. I mean, the mayor's been talking about enforcement. She's been talking about safety. Safety is a critical component to how we view the need to improve our networks. When we talk about our transportation networks, we're mainly talking about the design of the infrastructure on top of the roadway. So that is the facilities for bicycles, for pedestrians, for transit, for our vehicles. We want to make sure that the city is easy to get around in. It shouldn't matter what mode you're taking. You should be able to get around. And you should have clear rules, and those should be identified by the facilities that are on the roadway. So, in this city, few people use crosswalks, right? We know that. That's a constant thing. If more people used crosswalks, it may reduce crashes and injuries off the, for pedestrians and vehicles. And so we're just trying to encourage better design on our roadways, better safety requirements, and that's one component. There's multiple components to the strategy, but I think safety is the critical piece.
Yes. And the connectivity.
Right.
Connecting our people, again, to work, to recreation, just how they're moving about, through the city, and making sure that they have what they need, and they can actually get there safely.
Safely. Exactly. And so from the conversation, I'm getting that the four components are safety, efficiency, equity, and connectivity. You hit on safety. Let's kind of hit on the efficiency a little bit more, and equity and connectivity, if we could.
So the intention is to pull some of that work out that's already happening, right? We know that moving throughout the city can be cumbersome sometimes if you're in a vehicle, right? There's certain areas that have more traffic now than may have in the past, and that's due to a bunch of different kinds of changes. We have a whole different landscape of development that's happened in the past 10 years.
Yeah, and it's going to be more to come.
You cut through a lot of red tape to make sure a lot of road work's going to happen.
It is, and we're going to have to, that's where that connectivity kind of comes in too, and getting people to and from while we improve the city, but it will be somewhat of an inconvenience. But if we're focused on it, and that's why having this office, so it's not an afterthought, but it's built into the overall process. But also we have, one of the examples too, you have people, waiting for hours for the bus. You hear about that constant
Yeah.
complaint, or for the streetcar, or several pass full, filled, so to capacity, and they have to wait. So trying to minimize the wait times as well.
It goes back to your daily quality of life thing. that
No,
you
it's
always
true,
talk
and
Yeah.
it's infrastructure. Transportation is infrastructure.
It is. It's we're talking about really what's on the roadway on top, but it's all based on connecting people, right? So New Orleans has traditionally certain pockets of lower household income. We have a smaller population than our neighboring Jefferson Parish. We have about the same number of jobs. We want to make sure that our people in New Orleans can get to jobs in Jefferson and vice versa, whether that's by transit, whether that's by vehicle. It should be an easy commute one way or another. And
Yeah.
that's what touches sort of on the equity piece, right? Because by bridging these connections, by better connecting people, improving the transit network, creating a real bike network, we can make sure that people can go to jobs from wherever they want to live, and that's not an excuse. Transportation is an excuse because it's it's the second highest cost that families spend.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and building in the efficiencies as well is about the traffic signals, making sure they're properly in
I hate to
sync
stop and go and stop and go and stop and go.
I know, but there, we found that we only had one person kind of in charge of that, and so we're now building our capacity, so it's not just on one individual to coordinate the entire city of New Orleans. But this is what we found.
So, yeah, we're shedding greater light onto the systems that already exist, advocating, I think, for more resources and capacity in areas that need them, like the traffic component. We know that there's been all these changes to the roadway network, things are getting improved, we have all this funding to spend on the roadways. At the same time, we need to make sure that we're preparing accordingly so those improvements are sustainable going forward.
Right, and I just have to get a plug since we talking about just traffic. Don't throw your trash out your doors, your car rolling down the window, opening the door. I just don't understand. Like, let's keep our city clean. But that is also an example of, the attitude that you can kind of do what you want. It's against the law to litter. And we have to begin enforcing that as well. And it's not just the dumping, which we need to enforce, and we're doing that. But it's just the walking down, throwing trash, opening your car door, trash, sitting at the bus stop, trash. I mean, come on. We can be better because we are better.
Doesn't this go to the conversation when we went to the school? Was it News?
Oh, Renew?
Renew.
Oh, yes.
And the kids were speaking about how it impressed him so much that he saw you out and you picked up a piece of trash and you were throwing it away. And that was coming from our children telling you that.
No, last week. He did. I think he said he saw me at a second line or something, and I was picking up trash as I go. But we have to clean our city up, and it's trash coming from us. But it's the same, we don't want to see the trash, but I'm going to tell you this little off story. So over the weekend, I was at, where was I? The French Quarter Festival, and I was at an apartment over there, and a young lady goes by, and it's late, but she urinates, in Jackson Square, just kind of. And so I said, well, ma'am, that's like illegal. Like, would you do that where you live? And I said, where you from? And she told me where she was from, which wasn't from New Orleans. And I said, well, do you do that? Where you're from? In the front of someone's, where they live?
Right.
But this is again, and I wanted to rush down there and give her a citation. I couldn't get down there fast enough. But it's like, we set the tone for how people treat us and treat our city. So if we keep her clean, then that makes people think twice. You know what? This isn't an area that you should litter in, because we've set the example. And our city is worth it. Our people are worth it. Anyway, I'll get off of that. So
No, absolutely. It's so important, and this conversation is so important. Transportation, like you say, we are all traffic, and it links all of us. Are there any final thoughts that you all have?
Well, we are in the middle of our bike planning effort. It's been going really well. We've had 5 meetings so far. We have 2 more left. We have They're both in District E. We're really interested to see what people are going to say in District E, especially those folks in New Orleans East. They have such a unique development pattern there. And so if
I think
anybody
I made
can
your day
come-
the other day because I clearly read all of the social media, and someone in District E was like, "We want bike lanes in District E," and you were like, "I want to do a cartwheel." You were so excited.
Right.
Well, I'm so interested to hear from people in District E because we honestly are not exactly sure how they think about the bike network, what purpose it will really serve. You know, if more people are commuting by car, maybe the bike facilities are more a first mile, last mile solution with transit.
Right.
Right now, we're working really closely with the Regional Planning Commission on their New Links project, which is the redesigning and the re-envisioning of the transit network for Orleans, the RTA, and Jefferson Parish. And so we are coordinating all the data that we're getting, all the input we're getting with them. And we have 2 more meetings. So tonight, it's at Martin Luther King Library.
Tonight,
Yep.
Martin
And
Luther King Library. What time?
6 o'clock. And tomorrow is East New Orleans Regional Library.
So you have one in the lower 9 tonight at
Mhm.
Martin Luther King Library, and then tomorrow night at the New Orleans East Regional Library on Reed.
Yes.
Right. So being intentional, in
check it out.
District E to get both, both
sides of
sides.
the canal.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And then, I would just encourage people to, let's do the right thing. And also don't drink and drive. If nothing else, we learn literally from Esplanade tragedy. And it's don't drink and drive. Our people were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. They were riding in that bike lane. And it wasn't a vehicle blocking the bike lane. They were riding in the bike lane and it took their lives. And let me tell you, I'll never forget, having to walk on that scene and see our people on the ground, lifeless. That's real. Or going to Shot Wilson's funeral, 6-year-old. I was there. So it matters, and this is not, it's not a joke, it's life. And we all deserve just the best quality of life that we can possibly have. And as mayor, I'm taking it very serious. But the school zone piece, absolutely not about $1, but it was about people. And it's time for a lot of other things to be more about people. So thank everybody for tuning in.
Thank you so much. This is really a forum that our followers are really excited about. And if you have any conversation or anything that you're interested in learning about, please just message us and let us know, and we will follow up with you. Thank you so much, Mayor, and thank you.
No, thank you. And listen, I want to just make another little quick point on this, because since I got this school zone in my head.
Yeah, please.
So a couple things we did do with the traffic cameras. First of all, after we completed the study, we took down 21 of them, right, which was a part of the budget presentation made December 1. But then we didn't stop there. We continued to utilize the data from those studies. And by doing that, we were able to take down an additional 9. This was after we took down an additional 9 that were in school zones, but there was no school.
Oh.
So we removed those cameras again that were not where there were no schools, but they were a school zone. So we removed an additional 9, and also we reduced. They used to be on 24/7. So we reduced, particularly in school zones, we limited it to just the 4 hours of the school zone, that morning and that afternoon. So in a 24-hour day,
It's only
we
on
took
4
away,
hours.
it's only on 4 hours when it used to be on 24 hours.
Wow.
Now it's 4. And all we're saying is, in that 4, don't speed in the school zone. That's all we're saying. It's just that simple.
Because they can really make it a zero balance by not speeding.
That's it.
Yep.
Win-win. Like literally all around.
Win-win.
Don't speed in the school zone. Let our parents be confident and comfortable in knowing that their kids will be safe, and that we do not see another tragedy like we saw in 2014, which was real. Can't make it up. So thank you again. Thank you all.